Hello and welcome to the session on mobility and separation. I am Dr. Poonam Singh, Assistant Professor at the School of Management Studies, University of Hyderabad. In today's session, we'll discuss the concept, importance, and types of mobility and separation in detail. So let's start this session with the concept of mobility. The dictionary meaning of mobility is the ability to move or be moved freely and easily. Mobility is an organizational activity to cope with the changing organizational requirements. It's clear that mobility is one of the most important issues for human resources to tackle in today's fast-changing business environment. Mobility can be both external as well as internal. Internal mobility is the movement of people within the organization from one job to another, from one position to another, from one department to another, from one unit to another, maybe in a different location within the country or outside the country. Internal mobility is essential to match the employee's skill and requirements with the requirements of the job and those of the organization continuously. Internal mobility can be facilitated through a system that tracks prospects in the company and matches them with jobs as they come upon. Internal mobility occurs in the form of promotion and transfer. Sometimes demotion also comes under mobility. Let's discuss the need for internal mobility. Internal mobility arises due to the following reasons. Internal mobility may happen due to change in job structure, job design, grouping of jobs, or change in technology or automation. Expansion and diversification can also be the reason for internal mobility. Expansion in new countries, organization moving from a single plant to multiple plants, from one product to multiple products, or diversification into new businesses. Another reason for internal mobility is changes in employee skill, knowledge, ability, and values. Thus, we can say that internal mobility helps a company to improve its organizational effectiveness, maximize employee efficiency, at the same time help organization to cope with changes in operation. Moving on, let's discuss horizontal movement of employee within the organization, also known as transfer. So what is transfer? As per Yoder, transfer is defined as a lateral shift causing movement of individuals from one position to another, usually without involving marked change in duties, responsibilities, skills needed, or compensation. The other definition given by Edward B. Flippo is that transfer is a change in job where the new job is substantially equal to the old in terms of pay, status, and responsibilities. Thus, we can say that a transfer involves a change in the job without a change in pay or responsibility. Transfer may be initiated either by the employer or the employee. It can be temporary or permanent. A temporary transfer can occur due to temporary absences or due to shift in workload, whereas a permanent transfer could be because of a vacancy arising wherein a special skill is required, or due to technological change or structural changes. Moving on, let's see the purpose of transfer in organization. The first being to meet personal needs of employees. Employees request transfers to work in their native place or where their family or spouses live. At times, the climate of a place may not be favorable to an employee's health and may seek a transfer to different location. Transfer also occurs to bring a correction to the faulty initial placement of an employee. Transfer is done to meet organizational requirement. Organization may have to transfer employees due to changes in technology, volume of production, production schedule, or due to introduction of new products or product line. The next reason could be to adapt workforce requirement. It may so happen that there is a shortage of workforce in one department, whereas there is a surplus in the other. The surplus employee from one department may be shifted to the other department where there is a deficit of employee. Next, to meet skill requirements. Transfer may be necessary for better utilization of employee skills. In certain cases, employee may also be transferred to another places where their skills and capabilities or expertise may be required. Another purpose of transfer is employees' personal enrichment and growth. Sometimes employees may be transferred to different places or rotated in different jobs to expand their capabilities and provide them exposure to various situations and kinds of assignments. These are some of the reasons for employee transfer. Let's go down and understand the various types of transfer. The types of transfer include production transfer, replacement transfer, versatility transfer, and remedial transfer. Let's discuss them one by one. The first is production transfer. Such transfers are made to meet company requirements. The surplus employee in one department or section who are efficient might be absorbed in another place where there is a requirement. Such transfer helps organization to stabilize employment. The next is replacement transfer, which involves replacement of an existing employee who has been into the organization for a long period of time with a new employee and thereby giving some relief to an old employee from the heavy pressure of work. Moving on, let's discuss the next type of transfer, which is the versatility transfer. It is also known as rotation, moving an employee from one job to another so as to train the employee and enhance his or her competency. It helps to reduce boredom and monotony. For example, clerical employees in banks are transferred from one section to another over a period of time so that they may acquire the necessary skills to attend to various activities of the bank. Let's discuss remedial transfers. Such transfers are made to rectify mistakes in selection and placement. As a follow-up, the wrongly placed employee is transferred to a more suitable work. Such transfers protect the interest of the employee. Having discussed the types of transfer, let's discuss some of the issues with transfer. Transfer is important to meet the production and skill requirement of an organization. However, there are certain problems associated with transfers, as transfer may be an unwelcome shift to an employee and also his family. More so in a case where he does not want to move. There might be some adjustment problems also. There are also instances where productivity suffer because of transfer of an efficient employee. Hence, organizations need to clearly specify their transfer policy. Let's spend some time discussing about a transfer policy. Every organization should have a fair, transparent, well-documented and clearly communicated transfer policy which is impartial. A transfer policy should also mention the overall objective of the transfer. For example, in one of the documents by an organization, it clearly states that transfers are considered necessary for the purpose of rotating officers with a view to give them wider experience and exposure. A transfer policy should also mention the applicability of the transfer policy. Another very important aspect of a transfer policy is that it should mention the types of transfer. One of the organization in its transfer policy has mentioned that it has 4 types of transfer. Transfer on administrative grounds, transfer on repatriation, transfer on compassionate grounds, and transfer on request. It is just not important to mention the types, but what is also important is the subsequent condition under each type. Another very important aspect of a transfer policy is mentioning the competent authority for transfer. The next very important aspect is mentioning the norms or the criteria for transfer. These are some of the important aspects that should be mentioned in any transfer policy. Moving on, let's discuss another type of mobility. We had earlier discussed horizontal movement. Now let's discuss the vertical movement of employee. The vertical movement of employee, upward vertical movement of employee is what is called the promotion. So let's discuss promotion in detail. Promotion refers to upward movement in present job leading to greater responsibilities, higher status, and better salary. Promotion is defined as transfer of an employee to a job which pays more money or one that carries more preferred status. Let's discuss the purpose of promotion. The purpose of promotion includes to recognize and reward employees' performance and commitment and motivate them towards better performance. It helps the organization to retain skilled and talented employees as they see a career advancement prospect in the organization. It also helps to attract suitable and competent employees. A well-defined promotion process in an organization helps an organization to increase its employee morale and loyalty as employees feel that their services is being recognized and rewarded by an organization. It also helps to develop competitive spirit among employees for acquiring knowledge and skills for higher level jobs. It encourages effective utilization of knowledge and skills of employees. It also helps an organization to fill up job vacant position that is created due to retirement, resignation, or demise of an employee. In India, seniority is generally used for promotion in government offices. In public sector, both seniority and seniority cum merit promotion system is carried based on their policy. In private sector, the policy by and large is promote the best man available. Let's see the basis of promotion. There are 3 bases of promotion. One is seniority, second is merit, and third is seniority cum merit. We'll discuss them one by one. The first is seniority as the basis of promotion. In this, the length of the service is the basis of an individual promotion. The advantage of this method is that it is relatively simple to measure, simple to understand and operate, and it also reduces employee turnover. It provides a sense of satisfaction to senior employees. But it has also got some disadvantage. Performance and potential of employees not recognized. Henceforth, it kills the ambition and zeal to improve performance. Moving on, let's discuss merit as a basis for promotion. Merit implies the knowledge, skill, and performance record of an employee. Filling job position in an organization with the most talented person available within the organization. The advantage of a merit promotion is that it motivates competent employees to work hard, helps to maintain efficiency by recognizing talent and performance. It also suffers from some disadvantage, like how do you judge merit? What are the indicators of merit? Merit also indicates past achievement. May not be an indicator for future potential or future performance. In a merit-based system, old employees tend to feel insecure. Moving on, let's discuss seniority cum merit as the basis for promotion. As both seniority and merit as basis suffer from certain limitations, therefore a sound promotion policy should be based on a combination of both seniority and merit. A proper balance between the two can be maintained. Some of the ways are: 1. Minimum length of service may be prescribed and a relative weightage may be assigned to seniority and merit. The other method could be employees with a minimum performance record and qualification are treated eligible for promotion, and then seniority is used to choose from the eligible candidates. Thus, the three bases of promotion include seniority, merit, and the third is seniority cum merit. The aim of any promotion procedure of any given company should have two basic purposes. The first is to enable management to obtain the best talent available within the company, and the second is to provide employees with opportunity to advance in their career within the company in accordance with the opportunity available and the ability of the employee. There's always been a continuous debate on promotion from within versus outside. Let's spend some time to understand what are the benefits of promoting from within and what are its disadvantages. Promoting people from within has its own advantage, as employees are already familiar with the culture of the organization and they get adjusted soon. Since it is internal promotion, they are motivated to perform better. The cost of recruitment also is reduced and so is time. However, this procedure limits the number of choices available to an organization. Probably there are better people outside the organization. Those people who do not get promoted feel frustrated and may hold negative opinion about the company. Henceforth, every organization should have a fair, transparent, impartial promotion policy on which the promotion should be based. Organization should also have a policy in terms of what percentage of people should be promoted from within the organization to what percentage of people should be recruited from outside. The promotion policy should clearly mention the norms and criteria for promoting an employee. The policy should be fair and impartial and should be uniformly applied to all employees without giving scope for nepotism, favoritism, and so on. To give an example, one of the company in its promotion policy has mentioned that the company has its own promotion policy for promoting every officer in every grade based on the rating of the employee in past years. Usually in 4 years, one newly recruited officer gets promoted to assistant manager, and then after another 4 years, he or she becomes a manager. After manager grade, promotion are based on vacancy availability, past track record, and based on 360-degree performance appraisal. So every organization should be very clear in its norms and criteria of promotability. After discussing promotion, let's spend some time understanding demotion. Demotion is defined as the assignment of an individual to a job of lower rank and pay, usually involving lower level of difficulty and responsibility. Demotion is generally used as a disciplinary measure in an organization. The habitual pattern of behavior such as violation of rule and conduct, poor attendance record, insubordination are some of the reasons for individual to be demoted. The various causes of demotion includes adverse business condition, incompetency of an employee where a person is continuously not performing as per the expected standards, technological change where an employee is unable to adjust and adapt to the new technology implemented by the company, and finally, demotion is also used as a disciplinary measure. After having discussed internal mobility, wherein in the types of internal mobility we discussed transfer, promotion and demotion, let's go and spend some time in understanding the concept of separation. So what is separation? Separation means cessation of service with the organization for one or more reasons. Employee separation occurs when employee leave the organization either voluntarily or involuntarily. It is a loss to both the employee and the employer. If the rate of separation is high in an organization, it deeply affects the stability and profitability of an organization. Separation in an organization may occur due to resignation, retirement, dismissal, retrenchment, layoff, or death. Voluntary separation means the separation is initiated by the employee, whereas an involuntary separation means the initiation of separation by an employer. The various types of separation includes resignation, retirement, dismissal, voluntary retirement scheme, retrenchment, and layoff. Let's discuss the type one by one. The first is resignation. Resignation is a voluntary separation initiated by the employee. This is initiated when an employee is highly dissatisfied with the organization due to various reasons, or he has got a very attractive job opportunity outside the organization. The various reasons for resignation could be lack of career advancement, dissatisfaction with salary, work-related stress, relationship with supervisor, co-worker, company policy, could be personal reason, and as mentioned, new job offer. When an employee leaves, an organization often conducts an exit interview in order to understand the reason for the employee's decision to leave or to prevent it if necessary. Through this interview, the organization attempts to uncover the reason of employee's departure. The content and methodology of exit interview can vary from organization to organization. The aspects that are usually discussed in an exit interview are reasons for leaving, satisfaction and the job, the perception of the employee with respect to management, opportunities for growth in the organization, pay aspects, training and performance appraisal. This information is important for an organization to assess how well their retention strategy is working and how do they update their benefits and other policies so as to attract and retain talent. An exit interview also makes a departing employee to feel that their opinion is important and valued by the organization. Moving on, the next type is retirement. Retirement occurs when an employee has reached the end of their career. In some states, the employee retirement age is 58 years. In central government, it is 60. For the faculties of Central University, it is 65. Private sectors generally have a retirement age of 60. During the retirement of an employee is entitled to a number of benefits such as leave encashment, gratuity, provident fund. With the very purpose of giving a hassle-free life post-retirement, an employee is also entitled to pension benefits. Many organizations are also providing financial and investment counseling They are also providing health and psychological counseling to the retirees. The next type of separation includes dismissal. Dismissal of an employee results in termination of services and is a punitive measure for proven misconduct. The reason for dismissal may be carelessness, insubordination, violation of rules, dishonesty, insufficiency, aggressive behavior, unauthorized absence for a long period of time. It is a serious measure that impairs the earning potential and the public image of an employee. It is generally used as the last resort. Until all the necessary evidence is gathered, this step is unavoided. The employee is also given all opportunity to prove and defend himself. The principle of natural justice should prevail in case of dismissal. The next method is what is called the layoff. What is layoff? Layoff is defined as the failure, refusal, or inability of an employer on account of shortage of coal, power, or raw material, or the accumulation of stocks, or the breakdown of machinery, or natural calamity, or for any other connected reasons, to give employment to a workman whose name is borne on the muster rolls of his industrial establishment and who has not been retrenched. It means that layoff occurs when the employer is unable to provide work to an employee because of the reasons mentioned. According to Section 25C of the Industrial Dispute Act of 1947, the maximum days allowed to lay off an employee is 45 days. For those days, employee who is laid off is entitled for compensation equal to 50% of the total basic wages and dearness allowance that would have been payable to him had he not been laid off. In the current situation, news on layoff has become a common phenomenon as businesses have been badly impacted by the pandemic. Moving on, let's discuss the other concept, that is retrenchment. So what is retrenchment? Retrenchment is the termination by the employer of the service of a workman for any reason whatsoever other than the following reason, which includes dismissal as punishment, voluntary retirement scheme, superannuating, fixed term ending, and discharge on medical ground. Apart from these 5 reasons, a person can be terminated for any other reason under retrenchment. Where permission for retrenchment has been granted at the time of retrenchment, compensation has to be paid. The compensation shall be equivalent to 15 days average pay for every completed years of continuous service or any part therein of in excess of 6 months. So whereas layoff, which is temporary, retrenchment is permanent. In layoff, the compensation is 50% of basic plus DA. In retrenchment, it is 15 days average pay for every completed year of continuous service. In layoff, the employer is not in a position to offer employment to the employee because of reasons such as surplus of stock, inavailability of coal or power. But in case of retrenchment, the termination of contract is done for any reasons, but these reasons does not include dismissal, discharge, VRS, superannuation, and fixed term ending. Another type of separation is what is called the voluntary retirement scheme. Voluntary retirement scheme is a method used by companies to reduce surplus manpower, wherein it gives an option to its employees with a certain minimum service for voluntary retirement in return for lump sum payment. This type of retirement is also called golden handshake. VRS is considered to be a painless and time-saving method of trimming surplus manpower. The response to VRS has been a mixed one. In some companies like Tata Steel and SAIL, it has been a great success, whereas on the other hand, for companies like HUL, SBI, it was not that successful. A recent example of VRS is the BSNL Voluntary Retirement Scheme of 2019. The company had come up with a VRS policy wherein employees above the age of 50 years are eligible to opt for retirement. As per the report by India Today, at least 63% or nearly 1 lakh BSNL employees were eligible to opt for retirement under the scheme. Employees were eligible to get a lump sum retirement package, the highest payout as much as 90 lakhs. As per the same report, almost 80,000 employees above the age of 50 years had opted for the scheme within a span of 2 weeks from the rollout of the scheme. Thus, we have seen in our discussion on the various types of separation that the various types of separation includes resignation, retirement, dismissal, layoffs, retrenchment, and voluntary retirement scheme. With this, we come to the end of this session. Let's do a quick recap. Mobility is one of the important issues for human resources to tackle in today's fast-changing business. Employee mobility is an issue that has taken on a whole new meaning as more and more businesses have gone global. Employees today are commonly asked to take assignments in company locations away from home, either in another state or in another country. Mobility, as discussed, is the movement of employees to cope up with changing organizational requirements. Mobility takes place in different forms such as promotion, transfer, and demotion. Separation, as discussed earlier, is the cessation of service with the organization for one or other reason. Employee separation occurs when employees leave the organization either voluntarily or involuntarily. It may occur due to resignation, retirement, dismissal, retrenchment, VRS, or layoff. With this, we wind up this session. Thank you for your patient listening. I'll meet you in the next session with another interesting concept of competency mapping. So see you in the next session. Happy learning.